Hi everyone, I know that I'm not physically with you all, but I'm confident that there is great joy and spirit in the room today. Just look around. You are surrounded by such an amazing and loving community. My name is Corinne Grivey, and I'm so excited to be speaking with you all today. I started playing sports at a young age. I did volleyball, dance, softball, swimming, gymnastics, and basketball. And as I got older, I prioritized basketball as it brought me the most joy and it motivated me to not only become the best basketball player I can be, but the best person I could be. And my senior year in high school, I became Columbus East women's basketball all-time leading scorer, breaking a 42-year-old record. I will forever be proud of this accomplishment, but I've strived to leave my mark and be remembered for more than just basketball. Throughout my journey, there has been many ups and downs. I today just want to share with you what I have learned and the principles that serve me well in becoming a great girl. So first and most importantly, believe in yourself. If you do, it will show and others will believe in you. Set goals. I have always set athletic, academic, and spiritual goals. And when a goal is met, make a new one. Also, be willing to help others. You will become more joyful as you put others over yourself. It is okay to be the last in line so others go first. Be positive. Positivity is contagious. A smile and a helping hand can always be offered. Remember, it is okay to fail. Failure, as I have found, makes you mentally stronger and even leads to new goals. And understand that it is okay to cry and ask for help when you are overwhelmed. You have an amazing community that is there to support you in any way they can. This summer, I was 2 weeks into my college basketball workouts when I injured my knee. I tore my ACL, and the next week I had surgery to repair it. In that moment, I could have given up, but I decided to take a different route. I started focusing on how I could come back even stronger. Being a great girl doesn't mean you always have to be perfect. Being a great girl means that you can push through anything that comes in your way. As I continue to go throughout my life, I remember the wonderful women who inspire me each day. My grandma, my mom, and my big sister. I know you all too have wonderful women that inspire you. It may be your grandma, your mom, your aunt, your sister, woman at FFY, your teachers, your counselors, the list goes on. Continue to strive and be the best person you can become. The future has so much in store for you. Your destiny lies in your own hands. Great girl.
Good afternoon. Welcome to the 8th annual Great Girls Wonderful Women Luncheon. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Ashley Abner. I'm a commercial banker at JC Bank, and I want to thank you all for taking the time out of your busy schedules to be here with us today. I know, as some of you may know, the last couple years we have met virtually, so thank you for your patience with our technology challenges today. But I just want to say that I am so thankful and so excited to be here with all of you in person. Yes! It's been a long time coming. Great Girls, Wonderful Women has established itself as a truly inspirational event, bringing together girls from the Foundation for Youth's many different empowering programs. We see all of you here with us today, and women and men to support Columbus to support the Foundation for Youth and the wonderful reasons that we're here. A lot of these wonderful programs the Foundation for Youth provides are Boys and Girls Club, the Big Brothers and Big Sisters, Columbus Youth Camp, Girls on the Run, Trailblazers, Youth Aquatics. And in 2022, scholarships have been incredibly valuable because we were able to reach more youth than ever, specifically youth that were within a minority group in an underserved part of our county. This new partnership with these families will continue to positively impact our community. And we, of course, must thank our sponsors for making today a reality for great girls and wonderful women. Please take time to check out the programs on your tables for a full list. Truly care deeply about Columbus and our kids' futures. I also know the FFY would like me to thank the following. The Columbus Philharmonic Youth Orchestra that you all heard when you were coming in today. Toyota for the wonderful buffet, all the table linens and all the table decorations. The Women's Giving Circle for donating journals that all of the great girls get to leave here with today. Prevention Initiatives for donating bags that all of the great girls get to leave with today. Alan Trissler for managing our sound and our vision. And Josh Robinson and Josh Burnett for sharing this event live, right now, live, streaming to all of the schools, so anybody who isn't here still has the opportunity to participate. And that, I think, we can thank the pandemic for, because before it was one or the other, right? And now we're able to do both. So thanks, Josh. Your MCs for today are Sky Nicholson and former FFY kid and current staff member, Emily Ward. We chose Sky for her vibrant personality and her experience relating to youth as an educator and in her new focus as an empowerment coach with Soul's Truth Coaching. Sky is passionate about empowering women to reframe their thoughts around anxiety and to overturn limiting behavior patterns. Emily was chosen because of her outspoken personality, her inspiring individuality, and her confidence as a leader to our younger members in the Boys and Girls Club. Emily is still technically a youth, but she is serving as a junior staff member at FFY in the same club that she previously attended for several years as one of those younger members that she is now positively impacting. So please help me welcome your MCs for today, Sky and Emily.
Welcome, everyone. It is so exciting to be here with all of you great girls, wonderful women, and supportive men. And I'm especially excited to be here with my co-MC, Emily, who is a real-life FFY great girl on her way to becoming a wonderful woman. So since this year's theme is Write Your Own Story, Emily, I wonder, how has your participation in FFY helped you to write your own story?
So Foundation for Youth has set me up for success since I was a kid going here. Since I was younger, staff have encouraged me to express myself and try new things. From urging me to join clubs to giving me drawing advice when I was in elementary school, to helping me pick classes, being somewhere to chill out when I was older and in their teen program for a short time, and encouraging me to apply myself. They've given me the opportunity to get involved in the community, make friends, help others, and even given me the opportunity to stand here today and speak at an event I've gone to since I was a club kid going here. I'm still friends with a lot of people I met at the club. I have classes with them, I see them in the teen program, and I work with, I think, 2 of them actually, and it's been a great process. They've helped me build upon myself a lot. Sky, you've already written your own story in the form of a poetry book that you recently self-published this year. How was that process like for you?
Yes, I wrote Unexpected Alchemy as a memoir in the form of poetry. when I was a teenager, I used poetry as a tool to process all of the challenges and difficulties that I was experiencing in life. So for me, part of writing your own story represents that I get to choose what my life experiences mean. Poetry has helped me to take challenging or difficult experiences in my life and turn them into art. So like turning something ugly into something beautiful. I get to decide that I am not defined by the obstacles in my life, but rather by how I've responded to them, what I've learned from them, and how I've used them to make myself a better person. What about you? How do you know when you're in charge of your own story?
I know that I'm in charge of my own story when I'm able to ignore the criticism of others. I don't yet know what I'm going to want to do when I graduate high school. I don't know what college I want to go to, and I, for a sophomore in high school, am dramatically underprepared for that. But I do know currently that I'm in classes for cosmetology. I want to be a makeup artist at the moment, but it's not the path most would go down. It's definitely not the most stable path. It's what I want to do, though, and it's what I'm passionate about. I think to write your own story and to be in charge of that, you really have to put the criticism of others behind you and strive forward for what you want to do. I'm still making decisions about my future, and I've not got much time left to decide what I want to go to college for, but I'm putting the power in my hands to make good choices and writing my own story, each chapter of it. Whether I end up a cook like second grade me wanted, I wanted to be a chef in second grade, or if I end up a cosmetologist like fourth grade me wanted to, or a makeup artist like I want to be now, or none of those things is up to me entirely, and I'm going to make those decisions as I come to them. Now, Sky, I'm sure that all of the girls in the crowd and the wonderful women and men who've come to support them are wondering what you believe it takes to be a great girl or a wonderful woman.
Well, that's a great question, but I think we are all great and wonderful on the inside. So even when we make mistakes or we do something that we're not proud of, we are good inside. We can't always control the circumstances in our life, but we each have the opportunity to decide what we will do with them, how we'll grow, what we might want to change. It's not easy to recognize that you're the author of your own life. I mean, that's a really big responsibility, but it is also full of possibility. So I think a great girl or a wonderful woman is anyone who is willing to take ownership over what type of person they want to be and keep seeking that path that keeps moving them towards their dreams. Emily's a junior staff member here at FFY, which means that she is a great role model to all of the kids in the programs here. So Emily, do you have any advice for all the girls watching?
I have a lot of advice, and I wish it was something that someone had told me when I was in elementary school, besides my mom, who's, always going to be there to encourage me, and your parents are always going to be there to encourage you, or you'll have somebody to look up to. But it's different when you hear it from somebody else, and it's different when it's not told to you by, an adult. And I'm 16, I don't consider myself an adult yet. But I believe that you need to do what makes you happy. Don't be afraid to reach out for help. We're all here to help you. You've got people who are in your life who you can reach out to for help. You'll find criticism. People always have something to say about how you're living your life and what you've got to live with. Take their opinions with a grain of salt, or don't take them at all. They're not always in your best interest. And push on. Do what you want to do and do what makes you happy. And I'm also not saying that you need to have your entire life planned out in an elementary school. I know quite a few of the girls here are in elementary school, 4th, 5th, and 6th grade. Do what makes you happy and continue on with that, because when I was in elementary school, I wanted to be a chef. I don't want to be a chef anymore. If I was worrying myself about what I was going to go to college for when I was in 2nd grade wanting to be a chef, I would still be confused and worried now because I did not want to go forward with that. I don't anymore, This time will fly by while you're a kid, so enjoy it and make it last and really cherish it. Don't worry too much about getting into the workforce or what you're going to do for the rest of your life while you're in elementary school and middle school.
Thank you, Emily. I love that. Those are some pieces of advice I think even those of us adults in the audience could probably benefit from. You know, the mission of Foundation for Youth is to inspire and enable our youth and our community. And for 94 years, FFY has been providing opportunities like these. FFY is helping to prepare Bartholomew County kids for a life of success. And to ensure that no kid misses out on our program opportunities, FFY relies on contributions from supporters like you. And as Ashley mentioned earlier, 100% of the proceeds from Great Girls, Wonderful Women that you help us to raise today goes to providing scholarships for the Foundation for Youth programs.
FFY programs are built on our 4 cornerstone values of character and leadership, healthy lifestyles, commitment to learning, and positive identity. Through our programs, FFY kids develop resilience, make friends, and learn through experimental education models, including cooking, gardening, coding, financial literacy, healthy decision-making, conflict resolution, and so much more. They're also given the opportunity to be part of community events like Great Girls, Wonderful Women, and learn. We can write our own story. Great Girls, Wonderful Women has once again been underwritten by our friends at Forvia Clean Mobility, and we are delighted that Chef Kyle from Toyota has provided today's lunch.
Forvia, formerly Forcia, has been an FFY Cornerstone partner since the inception of the Cornerstone Initiative in 2015. However, their legacy has been decades in the making. Forvia's predecessor, Arvin's founder, QG Noblet, donated the original land, lake, and house that make up the Columbus Youth Camp way back in 1935. Arvin sponsored our gymnasium floors when we reopened as a new and renovated location in 1999, and there's countless other projects. Since 2015, our Cornerstone Initiative and partnership with the company has provided hundreds of hours of service by employees, hundreds of volunteers that have designed and constructed benches, Lego tables, bookshelves, fishing docks, firewood storage shelters, professional development, and so much more. We are excited to continue our relationship with Forvia and for the opportunities that will be presented to our youth, our community through that partnership.
Thank you, Forvia. I know that I've utilized many of the projects you've created. I've spent countless hours building at our Lego tables with Legos, and I've spent countless hours now as a staff member cleaning them up off the floor. I have enjoyed the fishing docks with our members, and I'm sure I've rested on some of those benches at a camp. It's really neat to see this side of your service to our youth and our community. And thank you to all of our partners and volunteers that help make the work at FFY possible.
Community partnerships are vital to the success of Foundation for Youth. Our keynote speaker, Hannah Omar, has long been a community advocate for nonprofit organizations like FFY. But before we welcome Hannah up, we have an activity that we would like everyone at each table to engage in. So as you know, our theme for this year is Write Your Own Story. At this time, please direct your attention to the images of the statues at each of your tables. You should also find a piece of paper that has questions to fill in a blank storyline. All right, at each table, you are in charge of writing the story for your statue. No preconceived notions, no assumptions. Just look at this statue as a blank slate and imagine, what would her story be? Okay, we're going to take about 8 minutes at this activity. At your table, select your scribe, pick somebody that might want to share at the end of the activity. We're going to have some committee members walking around as well as Emily and I to help you out. All right, go.
Sometimes we're not ourselves. There's no one I can turn to. And I know all the feelings that we shared are in the past. And I know your relationships are never meant to last. And I'll take some time, but I'll be alright. Moving on, moving on. I know times
You have 1 minute left, 1 minute left on your story creation. Okay, clap once if you can hear me. Clap twice. Did y'all know I was a teacher? At this time, we have time for a few tables to share what their story is. So if there's anybody that's feeling really, really excited, ooh, I saw a hand over here. Okay. I heard there was a handheld mic.
I didn't see who you were pointing at.
Oh, over
though.
there, they're waving and waving around.
Hello, my name is Chloe, and for our story, we chose the name of a girl named Amelia. Amelia is what she stands for is an outgoing and fearless person who has great leadership and is brave and kind and confident. Her secret weapon is that she is her own hero and shield of herself. What makes her happy is seeing people succeed in a life that she never had. Her best friend is a dog named Hero who saved her from her abusive parents. Today she is a great and wonderful woman worker who helps other women have an awesome and joyful life or childhood. Her pets are a dog and a boa constrictor. The person that she most admires is her grandmother who took her in, along with her stepmother that takes care of her or babysits her whenever her grandma can't. Yesterday, she decided to volunteer at a local food pantry. She lives in Alabama and she lives with her grandmother and her stepmother. Her biggest challenge that she ever faced was having to be saved from an obstacle that she also had to overcome was the childhood home that she ended up having to grow in. What she does is work at FFY locals all over the world, and she also decided to work at Salvation Army, which is a place for people homeless and other people who are maybe struggling with money be able to get free food or different kinds of coats. Her hobbies is jogging, volunteer at any place whenever she is free or open, and walking dogs for free. She won an award for, she and her dog won an award for being, she won an award for being a brave hero who decided to fight back from her abusive parents and the abusive relationship that she had accidentally grown into. She is proud of being able to overcome her parents and have a great life, the life that she wished that she had as a child.
Thank you. That was amazing. We have time for one more.
I'm Eliza, and our girl, her name was Esmeralda, and she was called Esme, and her secret weapon is knowledge, and trying new things makes her happy. Her best friend is named Coco, and they met in a writing class, and she is going to college, and she wants to be a professor. Her pets are cats named Waffles and Jane. Her biggest inspiration is her 4th grade teacher, and yesterday she gave a speech at school and came home and had a cup of tea, snuggled with her cats, and read a book. She lives with Coco in their own apartment at NYU, and her biggest challenge was getting into NYU and all the SATs and tests. When she's feeling nervous, she pets her cats and journals, and her hobbies are journaling, reading, and traveling, and she won a Nobel Prize in Literature, and she's most proud of her Nobel Prize.
Thank you both for sharing those stories. I don't know about all of you, but I felt that right here. That was really beautiful. We do want to keep the stories as part of this event, so someone will be around to collect your papers and your statues. All right, I now have the honor of introducing our keynote speaker, Hannah Omar. Hannah grew up in the Bronx, New York. She moved to Columbus in 2011 and got involved in her community from day one. Please welcome Hannah Omar to the podium.
Sorry, bear with me, everyone. Thank you. So thank you, everyone, for being here. Can you hear me okay? All right. I'd just like to thank the organizers of the Great Girls, Wonderful Women Luncheon for inviting me to speak here today. It truly is an honor of mine. I just love speaking to young women and inspiring them to do great things, even if it's just a little bit of inspiration. Today's theme is how we as women write our own stories and hence pave our own paths and lead even in the midst of doubt. And in keeping with the spirit of the theme, I'd like to share my story here today. So I was born in the Bronx, New York, to immigrant parents, both of whom had little education. And even though they didn't have much of an education, they wanted more for their children. We grew up in a predominantly working class community that didn't have many professionals or college graduates, especially those that looked like me. My parents owned a small grocery store, and like many around them, came to the United States in search of the American dream. Yet they faced many challenges, as many people of color in the United States do. Banks were reluctant to give them loans, and the loans that were given to them had high interest rates. Violence and crime in working class minority communities was rampant. The health systems in those communities was overstressed and didn't meet the needs of everyone living in that community. And schools were underfunded. They faced systemic racist policies at every corner, yet through it all, were able to build some kind of life for their family. Now, just some background, right? So the Bronx is one of the lowest income counties in the United States and the lowest in New York State. Dropout rates in the Bronx are double compared to the rest of New York State, and kids growing up in the Bronx weren't really thought of as valuable, able to succeed, or go very far in their lives. And a young Muslim Arab girl from the Bronx was definitely not supposed to do much with her life. No one believed that we could finish school, go to college, have a career, or make any kind of difference in our communities. There really wasn't much of a precedence for it, especially when everything around us was systemically put in place to prevent our success. Whether it was family, guidance counselors, teachers, there wasn't much encouragement for us because to them, young Muslim Arab women from the Bronx, or just young women of color from the Bronx, never amounted to much and probably in their eyes never would. Well, growing up in that environment, I had a decision to make. Do I fall into the trap of becoming what everyone thinks I would end up? Or do I make that decision myself? And looking around, some of the girls did fall into this trap, believing they weren't good enough, smart enough, or even mattered enough to be able to create a future that was authentically their own. So then how do I move forward to begin to think of a future that was authentically my own and not that of the naysayers? It's never an easy path to take, especially again when everything around you is trying to set you up for failure. It takes courage, determination, and a mindset that through failures, one must keep going. So it's time to write my story on my terms, even with all my doubts and fears of failure. It would be mine to write and live. And I'd like to say I did this all by myself, but I definitely did not. If it was one person that made all the difference, it was my mom. My mother grew up in a village in her home country of Yemen and had no formal education. My mother was widowed at an early age due, again, to the rampant violence prevalent in the South Bronx at the time. And in an instant, she had lost everything her and my father had worked for. She found herself as a young woman in a strange country with no family support and no knowledge of the language or the systems, and had to start life all over again with 2 small children. Now, growing up, while other parents in the community might not have valued education, my mother was different. She scraped and struggled as a single parent so that she can pay for tutors and after-school programs. She was at every school event and made sure I made school a priority as much as she did. She knew and often told us, "You can have everything taken away from you in this life, but as long as you had an education, you would be all right." She always said, "That's the one thing no one can take from you." When I didn't have any money to pay for my first semester at my new university because my loans didn't come through, again, immigrant child, not knowing how the system works, my mother reached into her savings that she was saving for years to finally buy her first home so that I could finish my semester. And hence, I'd become the first woman in my family to graduate high school, finish college, and then go on to attain 2 master's degrees. I went on to pursue a career at the United Nations, and then in education, and now in banking. And at every step, there were doubts and fears and society not making room for women that look and think the way I do. But despite that, I continued with my story. And in 2011, I moved to Columbus. And I was eager to make Columbus my home and start being involved in the community just like I had been back in the Bronx. I started setting up meetings with folks in the community and companies around town. And one of the very first meetings I had taken was with a woman exec at one of the companies here in town. I just wanted to discuss career opportunities and how I would fit in my new home, right? So she takes one look at me and says, I probably should have stayed back in New York. Then she looks at me again and says, are you able to go back? Well, basically saying I wouldn't succeed here or even get very far. Well, I've heard that before. But still, I was stunned. I thanked her for her time, took back my resume, and had a decision to make. Will I let this one person define who I was going to be in my new city, or will I make that decision? And let me tell you, I got straight to work, right? I started meeting with others in the community whose mindset was quite different. Some of them are actually here in the room. I joined AmeriCorps and started teaching in a political science class at IUPUC. And in the last 11 years of living in Columbus, I tried to make my way through this community and started becoming part of organizations that I felt were meaningful and aligned with my values. Now, whether that was Cameo, the United Way, Bartholomew County Indivisible, interfaith discussions and groups, I aligned myself with people that saw my potential and would help add positively to my story. And in the community, I found tons of people that did not think I should go back to New York. Instead, many encouraged my participation. In 2012, I was appointed to the Columbus Board of Zoning, where I sat for 10 years, and becoming the first person in the city to take an oath on a Quran. In 2018, I was encouraged to run for a county council seat, which made me the first Muslim woman to run for an elected position in the state of Indiana. Yeah. Side note, we need more women to run for elected positions. Side note. Later, I went on to get an MBA and joined JP Morgan, where I currently am a commercial banker. So much for going back to New York. So at this point, I'd just like to thank all of you for listening to my story. It's definitely not easy to share one's personal story, but it's also just one example of the many barriers women face and overcome. And as you young women think of writing your story, I'd like to share just one more story from a little girl, again from the Bronx. I'm a little bit biased, I know. Both of her parents immigrated to New York as well and had little education. She was diagnosed with diabetes at the age of 7, and because her parents were so fearful of giving her her insulin shots, she had to give them to herself. She grew up with an alcoholic father, a mother who was emotionally distant, and a grandmother who was her only refuge from her reality. She was raised in a Bronx tenement and later moved to the projects nearby. And for those that don't know, the projects are government-subsidized low-income housing. Her father died of a heart attack when she was 9 years of age, and during high school, the housing projects her family had moved into had fallen victim to increased heroin use, crime, and the emergence of a violent gang. Her cousin became a heroin addict and later died of AIDS, and everything you could possibly think of that could prevent this little girl's success, she had to face head-on. And on May 26, 2009, this little girl from the Bronx became the first Latina Supreme Court Justice in U.S. history, and the third woman in U.S. history to be appointed a Supreme Court Justice. Yeah, This little girl I'm talking about is, of course, Justice Sonia Sotomayor. And in her book, she tells readers that the greatest obstacle you will face is not discrimination. It's your own fear. Because fear often paralyzes you. And I agree, right? Because yes, discrimination is a huge obstacle. And another I would add is failure. Failure is another huge obstacle. Failure is another thing that can hinder us from moving forward. But when we really think about it, failure doesn't stop you. Failure doesn't defeat you. It's the fear of not trying because you'll fail. That's what will defeat you every time. And I say all this to remind you young ladies that throughout your life, there will be folks that will try to define you based on preconceived perceptions, biases, or just plain ignorance. Yet do you choose to fall into the trap of how others think your story should go? Or do you pave your own path? And here are a few items I'll just keep with, you can just keep with you as you navigate your journey and continue to write your story. 1, find allies, mentors, a family member, someone that inspires you, that supports your authentic self. And elevate those voices as opposed to the others. It's your choice. Do you write a story with those that think you're not good enough? Or those that see the best in you? Number 2, align yourself with folks looking out for your success. Those that see your potential. Because those folks will help you further along in your story as opposed to stifling your story. And finally, keep going. Listen, you're going to fail in life, and probably not just once, probably many times. I know I have. There'll be schools you won't get into, tests you won't do so great on, jobs you won't get. But don't dwell on the failures. And conversely, celebrate the wins. Listen, I know, it's scary to keep going in the face of adversity, right? But as Justice Sotomayor says, don't let the fear paralyze you. So in closing, young ladies, pick up your pens, start your journey, and continue writing a story that is authentically your own. Thank you.
Thank you, Hannah. That was an amazing, inspiring speech. I really appreciate you being here today. FFY does such great things and has such a lasting impact on kids. I want to thank you all for being here today. Thank you for being a great audience to our guests, and thank you for caring about the next generation of women.
Thanks again to Forvia. All tickets and every dollar you donate will go directly to fund scholarships so that girls like me and Corbin Grieve can experience FFY. Envelopes are on your table, and you can also contribute online at foundationforyouth.com/donate.
Some of our great girls will be coming around to collect those envelopes, so please get out your checkbooks and be generous. Employees and staff are available to answer any of the questions that you might have. Thank you again for joining us today.
And thank you for supporting and empowering the girls of Foundation for Youth. Don't forget to always write your own story. Girls, don't forget to collect your journals and totes on the way out. They're in those bags in the corner.
And thank you again for coming out and for sponsoring and for donating or whatever you did to support these great young ladies. There's also